Details, srnnews.com.
If you are 65 or older, you know this. Inflation is hitting everyone hard right now, especially when it comes to healthcare. Over the last 10 years, healthcare costs have skyrocketed by, get this, 230%. If you have Medicare Parts A and B, you know there are still out-of-pocket expenses like deductibles and co-payments, and they really add up. But here's some good news. MediShare 65 Plus is designed to fill in those gaps and help protect you from rising healthcare costs. At only $99 per month up to age 75, you get peace of mind at a price you can afford. And MediShare is trusted, too. It's been around 30 years. It's not some big impersonal thing. It's a community of people helping each other, business owners, pastors, retirees. People love it. MediShare 65 Plus just makes sense. To learn more, give them a call. They're great to talk to. They'll offer to pray with you each time you call, too. Call now. 833-SHARE-55. That's 833-SHARE-55. 833-SHARE-55.
Rocket 102.5.
With your updated forecast, I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Weatherology Weather Center. Lots of sunshine today with daytime highs approaching 40. Southwesterly winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies again tonight. Lows dip down to around 19. Daytime highs approaching 38 tomorrow. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Thursday, decreasing clouds by Friday. Low 30s Thursday, low 50s by Friday. Taking a look at the extended forecast, 32 Saturday, 33 Sunday, and 36 on Monday. Another look at the short range, a high of 40 today. Lows level off around 19 tonight, a high of 38 tomorrow. Get up to the minute weather updates from the Weatherology Weather Center. I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley on this NWKS radio station. Currently, it's 2 degrees below zero.
Build your business with a partner you can trust. The Home Depot. When you join Pro Extra, you get lower than shelf pricing and dedicated support to help you streamline your business and stay on budget. Get dedicated pro support for supply sourcing, custom orders, large equipment rentals, and more. At the Home Depot, we supply the support your job needs with the level of service your business deserves. The Home Depot, how pros get more done.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest. The last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying. Just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
New year, new projects, and new deals at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware. Start 2025 with a bang by tackling those home improvements. Refresh your space with vibrant Benjamin Moore paint or stock up on storage totes and shelves, perfect for organizing. Lumber prices are down, making it easier to tackle your next big project. Keep warm while you grill year-round with their top-notch grills and smokers from Traeger and Weber. And don't let the snow slow you down. Check out the great selection of snowblowers from Ego and Toro. It's Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware with locations in Goodland and Colby, your partner for a productive new year.
Drive into the new year with incredible deals at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Right now, get a $3,000 total cash allowance on the 24 Chevy Suburban or take home a 25 Chevy Equinox with 2.9% APR financing, plus no payments for 90 days when you finance with GM Financial. Looking for a truck? Get 0% APR on the 24 GMC Sierra 1500 with a 5.3-liter engine for well-qualified buyers, and score $3,250 when you trade in an eligible vehicle. Visit Hurl Chevrolet GMC today or shop online at hurlchev.com.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery, ingestion, and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
At FNB Bank, we understand the backbone of our community is our local farmers and ranchers. Whether you're growing crops, raising livestock, or investing in new equipment, we're here to help you succeed. Our agricultural loans are tailored to meet the unique needs of your farm, with flexible terms from people who understand what it takes to make it in agriculture. When you partner with FNB Bank, you're working with neighbors who know the land and are invested in your success. FNB Bank, rooted in our community, growing with you. Member FDIC.
Looking for great food and unbeatable convenience? Swing by the Cowboy Corner Express. Every Thursday, enjoy their famous barbecue beef sandwiches, hot and fresh. Need to feed a crowd? Their sandwich and wrap trays are perfect for any occasion. Start your day with some delicious daylight donuts. And don't forget, students and school employees get 10% off every day, excluding gas, alcohol, and cigarettes. The Cowboy Corner Express, located on South Main in Goodland.
Drive into the new year with incredible deals at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Right now, get a $3,000 total cash allowance on the 24 Chevy Suburban or take home a 25 Chevy Equinox with 2.9% APR financing, plus no payments for 90 days when you finance with GM Financial. Looking for a truck? Get 0% APR on the 24 GMC Sierra 1500 with a 5.3-liter engine for well-qualified buyers and score $3,250 when you trade in an eligible vehicle. Visit Hurl Chevrolet GMC today or shop online at hurlchev.com.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4!
It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
If you want to win in football, it all starts up front. Mass kicks ass.
And Max Gershon.
Look at their schedule, folks. They played no one, and they never do to start the year until they play Kansas. They get these Mickey Mouse wins out of their ways.
The High Plains only local sports talk show, broadcasting live on Rocket 102.5 and streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
They're basically idiots.
Covering it all from the preps.
Up ahead to Blair Lennon. Lennon, the crossover, back to Cure. Hello, boom! A two-handed tomahawk flush.
To the pros.
Shotgun snap to Nix. Protection is good. Bold loads it up. He's got it. A receiver there. Franklin makes the catch. In the end zone, touchdown Denver.
The Blitz is presented by Hurl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, along with the Insurance Agency, the Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work.
In motion, Bo Collins, direct snap. Leonard walks in for a touchdown untouched. Off left tackle. What a drive by Notre Dame. Hand it off to Chuckett. Big hole to his right. He breaks free. He may go. He's across the 50, coming toward the near sideline. Chased by a couple of fighting Irish defenders who run him down near the 5-yard line. Leonard gets it off, a quick slant, caught, a couple of broken tackles. Jaden Greathouse inside the 20, inside the 10, inside the end zone. Howard, a Notre Dame blitz, a deep throw, near side. Jeremiah Smith has it inside the 30 and taken down by Christian Gray at the 9-yard line.
Happy Tuesday morning, everybody. Glad you're with us here on the Morning Blitz. No matter if it's on Goodland's Rocket 102.5, NWKSradio.net, or the video stream, the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Glad you're joining us on this January the 21st. It is a sad day today as the college football season is in the books, unfortunately, but that's just the way it goes. The season must come to an end. It's all good things must come to an end, and the best time of the year is already in the books, and it went by just like that. But we'll get through it today. We got a full show ahead for you here on this Tuesday morning. We'll talk high school hoops. We will get to Joe Tillery of Heartland College Sports popping by the show as well to give his thoughts on the end of the college football season. And we will dive into some thoughts on the national championship game here in just a matter of moments. Good morning, Max. I like your shirt today, the quarter zip. It's classic. It looks classical. I don't know why. It just looks classical.
Yeah, I love this. Is a great one. Got it at Allen Fieldhouse, actually. I want to say 2 years, maybe last year, 2 years ago. When I was in school in Florida, for whatever, they always schedule, when I would come back for winter break, I'd go to a game, but they always schedule those like winter break games to be against like Ivy League schools. Like it's no one.
Well, yeah, it's usually kind of a buy. It's a buy game. They're paying someone to come and play you. Yes,
right. So back-to-back years, I had went to Harvard at KU and then Yale at KU. So it was one of those two games that I got this quarter zip, but I really like it. So
I have been to the campus of Harvard. Let me tell you,
have you really?
Quite the experience there. Interesting. But I've been to Harvard. I've been to Harvard, but I did not go to Harvard.
No, not everyone can go to Harvard.
I could not go to Harvard. I'll tell you that much.
In that boat.
There's a reason why.
You can say that for a lot of schools for me. So
same here, to be honest with you. So 2 peas in a pod here on this Tuesday morning. By the way, I saw an interesting some interesting stuff coming across Twitter. I saw a deal talking about the temperatures outside, currently sitting at 2 degrees outside. We are going to make our way up to 40 today. It will be a much warmer day than it was yesterday, but I saw that the coldest wind chill temperatures that were recorded from Monday night, last night, until this morning, Colby had negative 31 wind chill. A little chilly over there in Colby,
Doesn't
Kansas.
surprise me. I mean, I walked outside this morning and my hair it was frozen. It became like sharp, like an icicle. I'm just still not used to it. I don't think I ever will be again after living in Florida for 2 years. Well, it'll take some time, but it's
you'll callous back up to it. That's those southern states.
cold.
They just softened you up a little bit, and we'll get you calloused back up here sometime. We'll get you calloused back up. But yeah, Colby, the coldest temperature recorded, negative 31. That was with wind chill as of 7 o'clock Central Time. It's about an hour ago. And then I had St. Francis at negative 30, Burlington at negative 29. Goodland actually was having a heat wave, negative 22. It was one of the warmer temperatures here in Goodland, but it was a chilly night last night. Very, very cold. Hopefully everyone stayed inside and found something to do. Probably most of us who tune in to listen to this show caught the national championship game between Ohio State and Notre Dame. 34-23 the final score. A closer final score than pretty much what the game was throughout, as Notre Dame struck first. A very impressive drive that took them, pretty much 10 minutes of the entire first quarter was gone by this one drive by Notre Dame. And then from that point forward, Ohio State had 31 unanswered points, and then Notre Dame kind of found a way, putting together a couple of touchdowns late in the third and late in the fourth quarter, but could not get a fourth down, stopped down by 8, missed a field goal late as well, which, when you're trying to knock off a powerhouse like Ohio State is, and I'm not talking about, seeding or record, I'm talking about just the team that was a powerhouse in Ohio State. No matter how their season went this year, they were a powerhouse program and a powerhouse team. And Notre Dame was a very, very good team, but not on the same level and dealing with a lot of injuries. If you're going to knock off a team like that, you've got to play very clean football. That means you're going to have to get that fake punch you tried to work. You're going to have to make those field goals. You're going to have to capitalize anytime you get in the red zone and score to keep up with that. And give credit to Notre Dame. I mean, that culture is great that Marcus Freeman has built. They fought hard all the way to the end, but they just did not have enough bullets in the gun to keep up with Ohio State, who just had way too much talent in comparison to Notre Dame. And Notre Dame was also missing some key players due to injury, and some guys weren't healthy due to injury. But it was a closer game than what the final score showed, 34-23. And Ryan Day gets his national championship, gets that massive monkey off of his back. And that was kind of the big storyline, I guess, I took away from that was, yes, Ohio State won another national championship, first one, I think, in 10 years, just over a decade. But to me, that was the Ryan Day relief game. You could see it. You could see it in his conversations. You could see it in Kirk Herbstreit, who couldn't stay professional enough not to cry when his alma mater won the national championship. Couldn't. He cried on national TV, and I'm hoping, because I'll forgive him, if it was more about Ryan Day and his friend Ryan Day and getting this monkey off us, because I can just imagine the amount of criticism that Ryan Day has taken over the last few years. And for him to win this national championship has to take some of that off of him here last night with that win over Notre Dame.
Well, I don't know. I wasn't mad at Kirk. Kirk is so good. He's the best. And he's not.
Joel Klatt's the best. But anyway, you can go.
No, disagree 100%.
Joel is better.
Kirk is I think Kirk is much better, but I want to say that Kirk is very unbiased throughout most of these games, I feel like.
I'm not saying he's biased. I'm just saying
I know.
He's a better analyst is Joel Klatt. That's all I'm saying.
Right, and I disagree, but I'm saying is that I don't think I didn't have a problem with him crying, is all I'm saying. But
okay.
Going into this game, I think the comeback, there was 2 plays that really could have made this interesting that were just kind of screwed up by Notre Dame. And that was the decision to go or kick the field goal that didn't pan out. On 4th and goal with 9.5 minutes left, you're down by 16. That was controversial. I don't know what your thoughts were on that.
Marcus Freeman said it was 4th and goal from the 9. If it was 4th and goal from the 4, that's different. 4th and goal from the 9, that's asking a lot.
But you're still asking to get the ball 2 more times, and they didn't.
It was going to, I mean, you were going to need the ball. The only way is if 2 out of the 3 things that happen, either you can make the field goal, or you could get a touchdown, or you can end up with no points. Those are the 3 options that could come out of that. Get 3, get 7, or get 6 or 8, whatever you want to get. 3, get 8, or get nothing. And at 4th and 9, the chances of getting nothing was pretty good if you went for it. But if you kick the field goal, where their kicker has been pretty much automatic, I don't have honestly, in the moment, I was like, yeah, this probably isn't great. But the more I look at it, I'm like, I don't know if I really disagree with that call. I don't. The truth is, the defense got to stop. Even with the missed field goal, they scored a touchdown. They still had a chance. If they could have found a way to stay on Jeremiah Smith, which is easier said than done, they would have gotten off the field with just over 2 minutes left, and that would have been enough time to go down the field and score a touchdown. Now they would have needed a 2-point conversion. Okay, and that brings up the point. If they would have made that field goal, then they would have had a chance to have won it at the gun with a touchdown, and not even a 2-point conversion.
Right.
Which would have been nuts.
It's not the worst. It's not the worst.
It's not. To me, I mean, I get what you're saying. I totally understand it. I get it in the moment, but I don't have a problem trying to get the points there with the amount of time that you had. You had all your timeouts. You were going to need to get defense. A lot of things were going to have to go right for you to win that game.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, the Rubik's Cube was kind of aligning. The stars were aligning as that game progressed on. But they just had one little slip up by letting Jeremiah Smith get open, and a great throw by Will Howard. More on him in just a minute. But yeah, I know. So what was the second point, Jay? You talked about that, and then there was another play that you didn't know if you totally liked.
It was the Jeremiah Smith play. I don't know. I mean, Ryan. I mean, there's so much going on in that last drive. I mean, you run a quarterback draw 3 times with Will Howard, or twice with Will Howard back to back. I was sitting there. I'm like, you have 2 NFL running backs, Ryan Day. Hand them the football. Why are we running quarterback power right up the middle with Will Howard? Get a first down. This game is probably over. Just hand it off to your running back. Regardless, it didn't matter. But then I'm sitting there, in a call with my friends watching this game, and we knew the ball was going to Jeremiah Smith. So why is he still one-on-one coverage on the outside when everyone in the building, everyone knew that he was going to be getting the football, and he still found a way to get open? I just don't think you just cannot let him beat you on that play. You cannot let him beat you. And it was pretty easy coverage for him to beat.
What was it? Was it 3rd and 4?
Oh, no, it was longer.
It was? Okay.
It was third and some distance. Because they ran, because Will Howard had run up the middle twice and gained maybe a yard.
Well, I would say you're covering all your bases when you just do the quarterback keeper, the quarterback power. You only have the center quarterback exchange. The snap is the only thing you have to worry about. There's no handoffs you have to worry about that could result in a fumble. So you're playing it safe there. And you are also in that time, because Notre Dame knows you're going to run the ball, they loaded the box. I mean, they showed that on the telecast slide. They had 8 guys in the box.
Yeah.
By running the quarterback, you at least line up numbers wise. So then it's just one-on-one with the quarterback and another guy. So if it all gets blocked up correctly, and if maybe Notre Dame has a misstep somewhere, all of a sudden it could be a first down of the game. I don't have a problem with it. Notre Dame knew they were going to run the ball, knew it. That's why they loaded the box. So just by snapping into the quarterback and running the ball, there was a tackle. I'm not for sure. There was a tackle where Will got hit pretty hard and the ball kind of moved a little bit, and that was scary. But that's football. But that's football.
I know, but
the Judkins, that could have happened to Henderson. That could have happened to anybody. It could have happened on an exchange. You don't know.
It felt like it was a very scared 2 plays.
Oh, I'm not saying that it didn't look like that, because it kind of did. And the thing that made me laugh the hardest during that game last night was when Notre Dame scored that touchdown to make it an 8-point ball game, to see all the Ohio State fans looking like as if they were getting beat by 40. That was hilarious. How many surrender cobras did you see from Ohio State fans? I counted a ton. It was amazing. for a team that was 4 minutes away from a national championship and up 8, and they were getting the ball. It was the look of like Ohio State was like, we're getting beat by 20. They had that look. They are that shaken from whatever heck has gone on in their 14-win seasons all these years, whatever the heck you want to call it. They've double-digit win years. They're so shaken that they're going to lose this national championship to Notre Dame because they're up by 8 with less than 4 to play, and they're getting the ball back. That was hilarious to me, first and foremost. So hilarious. Notre Dame had the formula to win this game in the very first drive. You take the ball down the field, you convert on third down.
Yeah, it's an exchange.
And then after that, you go through and you take that ball, you go down the field, you march it, you convert on third down, you keep that defense on the field, and you score a touchdown. If Notre Dame could have duplicated that a couple more times throughout the game, that game would have changed a ton. But because Ohio State's defense woke up and said, we're not going to allow that again, and they pretty much stuffed the Irish after that first drive, it was Ohio State's game to take and win at that point in time.
Yeah, I mean, it just those two specific plays, just those were those. If I just feel like if you got to double Jeremiah Smith, and if you do, who knows what happens in that game, because they were ready to punt. They were ready to punt you that ball. And it's almost like in such a weird way because of those two, because they were at 3rd and 10, 3rd and 9, whatever it was, they were long. They had to throw the football. There was really no option. You don't just run and then punt. If you had them at 3rd and 5, then it's a tougher decision for them, and maybe that would have been better for Notre Dame. But yeah, Ohio State was just 100% the most talented team, and they proved it. And they needed that Michigan loss to wake them up. And I saw a funny tweet last night saying like, so if Ryan Day loses to Michigan next year, they fire him, right? They still fire him, right? It was obviously a joke, but
if Ryan Day does what again?
If Ohio State loses to Michigan next year again, they fire Ryan Day. But it was like a joke because he
okay. Well,
so
I don't know. I don't know how Ohio State fans think. I think they're ridiculously dumb, in my opinion. But that's just me.
Yeah, well, I think they're happy they won the national championship.
Well, they should be.
That'll probably last for a long time. So, they were. Yeah, you were right going into this tournament that they were the most talented, and that Michigan loss definitely woke them up. So,
yeah, it was. To me, the biggest thing was it's over $20 million on that team. $20 million.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money in a college football roster, period. It's a lot of flipping money. So you can say what you want about it all, but I think the biggest thing is when you have that amount of money spent, you're going to have a lot of success, hopefully, in the future. And that's what I think it resulted in. Yes, they got beat by Michigan. Yes, they had some clunkers of some games throughout the year. It's going to happen from time to time. But they were the most talented football team all season long. Credit to Will Howard, the K-State transfer, the Pennsylvania native, going back closer to home and playing at Ohio State after Kansas State, not saying they didn't really want him, but kind of told him we're going to go to Avery Johnson here, and he went somewhere else and he wins himself a national championship, and I think that's super cool. Happy for him. Really nice young man. There's probably a lot of people in K-State Purple that are happy for Will Howard and for him being able to get that national championship, which it's amazing to me. I remember watching Will Howard play at Oklahoma State. It was his first ever start. And it was really bad. I mean, he really struggled. I think he had at least 3 interceptions in that game. He struggled mightily. K-State got spanked on the road in Stillwater. It was his first ever start. He was playing in a backup role because the starter got hurt, and he got taken to the cleaners. And it was not a great game for Will Howard. But you know what? He went back to work. He got himself right. When his number was called after Adrian Martinez got hurt that one season, he came in and led them to a Big 12 title game. His last year at Kansas State still had a good year. They just didn't get the wins that they needed to go where they wanted to go. And then, they decided to turn the page to Avery Johnson. Okay, that's fine. He goes to Ohio State, wins himself a national championship. So credit to Will Howard and his perseverance. That's good for him, and I'm happy to see him get a natty because I think he's a good man. And boy, the growth of him is impressive. because where he started to where he is. I mean, he started the game off 13 for 13, which I think was a college football record or a title record for the best start. But yeah, that was a heck of a performance from Will Howard. I'm happy for him.
Yeah, I remember right as Will Howard transferred, I went to school, and one of my buddies is an Ohio State fan, and he was asking me, because obviously I know more about K-State than Ohio State fans do, and he asked me about Will Howard, and I told him, look, I mean, he's not the most talented quarterback by any means, but he's going to work hard, and he is going to give it everything he's got in every single game, and I think that's what you saw from Will Howard, especially last night. Like you mentioned, he took some hits, and it just it shows that if you give a guy like Will Howard a surrounding cast that Ohio State has with all that money that they've invested into it, it's he can become a really good quarterback, and it's just I didn't think it was going to work out. I really did not think it was going to work out. I thought it was going to be a lot similar to Kyle McCord and those kind of quarterbacks Ohio State has had, but she surprised me. I'll be the first to admit it. He surprised me. He played fantastic last night. That throw to Jeremiah Smith was, I mean, almost as perfect as it could get. So, I mean, really good stuff from
Jeremiah Smith probably deserves just about as much credit for the national championship as Ryan Day does because of the performances that he had throughout this college football playoff. He was so good throughout. Yeah, I know the Texas game, he got covered up pretty good, but for the most part, he had some very, very good showings. Through the FB Bank text line, 785-899-2222. Get your thoughts and comments in. Andy chimes in. No way Riley Leonard could have continued on that pace. We were talking about the first drive with Notre Dame. Looked like he almost got knocked out of the game on the first drive. I think he got the wind knocked out of him on that first drive. He landed on the football. But that was what Notre Dame had. Jeremiah Love, their star running back, was not at full strength. Their offensive line was missing key pieces from injuries. They were so banged up. Like I said, that's the thing that's impressive. For them to have that grit and toughness to come back and almost send that game into overtime with a couple of plays was very impressive because they were so banged up. If Jeremiah Love is healthy, if that offensive line is healthy, Riley Leonard probably isn't leaned upon as much to run the football as he was. Once again, it's a numbers game. When you run the quarterback, you get numbers in the running game, and that was their success. And I tell you, like I said, that first drive was great. But Andy's right. I don't think they couldn't have probably lasted. My point was that they needed to have long, sustaining drives, whether that's throwing it, keeping the ball away from Ohio State's offense and putting points on the board and shortening the game was going to be the biggest thing. When it got to the point where Notre Dame was going 3 and out, punting and giving Ohio State the ball, and they're scoring touchdowns, there's just no way you're going to keep up with that.
Right, and this was something that really led to Notre Dame digging themselves as big of a hole as they were in, and that was they were behind the chains. They were behind the chains on that drive after. And the drive after that, and it was, that team is not built to be in 2nd and 16s and or 1st and 20s. They are not built for that. They are built to run the football, get to 2nd and 5, run the football, get to 3rd and 1, then pick up the first down. And that's the formula for Notre Dame. And they couldn't get that 2nd and 5. They couldn't get that 3rd and 1 early in that game. And that really just sent them backwards because there's no stopping that Ohio State offense at a certain point. There was no defense that was going to be able to stop that powerhouse of an offense. So their offensive game plan, while it is a good one and it does work, they just unfortunately got behind the sticks too often early in that game to make it a reliable source of points for them to stay with that air raid of Ohio State with the great running backs.
Yeah, for sure. Once again, Ohio State wins 34-23 over Notre Dame, capturing a national championship. Ryan Day cements himself as a national championship coach, joining the likes of Urban Meyer and Woody Hayes and all the greats there at Ohio State. And we'll see how long this keeps the pressure off of him. Does it buy him another 2 years, or is it just, until, like Max said, the Michigan game next year? I don't know. I would hope so. I would hope so that it's going to work out all right. But we will certainly see. Oh, by the way, Ohio State, I saw the early pick for the national championship next year, the odds-on favorites win the national, which I don't quite get that. You're losing your quarterback. You're going to lose a lot of these great players to the NFL draft. So because you have Jeremiah Smith, that's why you're thinking you're going to win the national championship?
Well, he's got to be the Heisman favorite.
Well, that I would get behind for sure. But
he's got to be
national championship when you're losing your quarterback, a lot of key pieces. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure. I would have to look at who they have and everything, but man, that was a talented team to watch.
Before we bring on Joe Tillery, I want to get your thoughts on this because we'll ask Joe about this coming up. But I wanted to get your thought. The CFP in the first year, just overall reaction the day after it's over.
I think the seeding, at least the placement of some of the teams needed to be different. I think there were some teams that didn't deserve as easy of a road as they did.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the number. I do like the number. I don't think the conference champion should be guaranteed a bye necessarily. I think a lot of people don't think that.
Just the top 4 highest ranked teams.
Yeah, I think so. And, but there's going to be some teams. The bye is such an interesting thing at all. Because we saw all those teams with buys lose. So maybe, it's 1 year, so you can't change anything. They're going to run this thing back next year. And if it's the same thing happens, then you can have conversations. I think you should have conversations about all right, maybe we just throw them all into the first round. Everyone gets a home game. Or maybe, you shorten the bye or make the bye 2 teams or something like that. So I think that they're willing to change because, they've changed so much already. So I don't think it's a problem with them not being flexible. So it'll be interesting to see, but I wasn't too disappointed. I thought I liked the format, and it was a long, fun tournament, even though not every game was close, but you saw some great ones down the stretch. So it was good.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's get to a break. When we come back, we're going to be joined by our friend Joe Tillery from Heartland College Sports, talk about this college football national championship, the CFP as well, and much more. He'll join us next. You're listening to the Morning Blitz here on a Tuesday.
New year, new projects, and new deals at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware. Start 2025 with a bang by tackling those home improvements. Refresh your space with vibrant Benjamin Moore paint or stock up on storage totes and shelves, perfect for organizing. Lumber prices are down, making it easier to tackle your next big project. Keep warm while you grill year-round with their top-notch grills and smokers from Traeger and Weber. And don't let the snow slow you down. Check out their great selection of snowblowers from Ego and Toro. It's Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware with locations in Goodland and Colby, your partner for a productive new year.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning, this is Kate Hopper with the Anderson Trade Group. Today is Tuesday, January 21st. And on the March corn contract, we closed higher 3 3/4 on the overnight at 4.88. May up 4 cents at 4.97. July up 3 3/4 at 4.98. September unchanged at 4.58 3/4. December unchanged at 4.56. March soybeans up 21.5 on the overnight to 10.55.5. May up 20 at 10.64 3/4. July up 18 3/4 at 10.74. August up 16 at 10.64 1/4. Chicago wheat, the March contract higher 9 3/4 at 5.48.5. May up 9 at 5.59 3/4. July up 8.5 at 5.69. September up 8.5 at 5.82 3/4. Kansas City wheat, the March contract higher 10 cents on the overnight at 5.58.5. May up 9 1/4 at 5.67 3/4. July up 9 cents at 5.76 1/4. September hard wheat up 9 cents at 5.88 3/4. On the stock market this morning, the Dow up $200 at 43,895. The S&P up 30 at 6,063. The Nasdaq up 132 at 21,726. Gold lower $9 an ounce at 2,739, and crude oil down $2.30 a barrel at 75.58. If you have any questions about marketing grain or would like to talk about risk management options, give our call auto office a call, John Hantke or John Stiles at 970-744-4484. Or in our Kansas City office, myself, Tom Sluto, Jared Law, or Tyler Josh at 913-748-3000.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor and or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
For half a century, glyphosate has affordably and effectively protected Kansas farmers' crops from invasive weeds. Without it, the impact would be felt beyond the fields, hitting Americans where it hurts, our wallets. That's why the Modern Ag Alliance advocates for farmers' continued access to essential crop protection tools so food prices don't rise even more. Get the facts at controlweedsnotfarming.com. Paid for by the Modern Ag Alliance in support of Kansas farmers.
LivestockMarket.com puts you in control when buying or selling commercial livestock, seed stock, or show stock. The easy-to-use online platform at LivestockMarket.com offers private treaty, online auction, and live auction internet bidding.
animals are sold before they ever leave your place. And with LivestockMarket.com, there's no middleman. Buyers connect directly with livestock and hay producers. There's no easier way to find buyers for cattle, sheep, goats, pigs, and hay. Sell on your terms today with LivestockMarket.com.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Bringing you the best regional sports talk.
Well, I'm awake and I speak English, so yeah, I do know what you're saying.
From scores to stories, the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Back here on a Tuesday morning on the Morning Blitz. Glad you could join us, no matter which way you are doing so. As always, thoughts, comments, and questions are welcome on the F&B Bank text line at 785-899-2222. We go to our guest of the day, our good friend from Heartland College Sports, Joe Tillery, joins us on the Hurdle Chevrolet GMC video stream. Good morning, Joe. How are we doing today, buddy?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, fellas.
Tell you what, how was the holidays? We haven't talked since you were driving back home for the holidays. So how were the holidays?
They were good. It was nice. We went out to Jackson, Wyoming, did some skiing for Christmas. It was kind of a unique trend. My sister lives out in Jackson Village, so she works out there at the one of the park management services out that way. So we got to hang out with her, which was nice, rather than her having to fly home that huge flight. So it worked out pretty well.
Did you drive out to Jackson from KC?
No way.
No.
My folks did, though. Some of us flew around for the nation. So I drove back to KC. My fiance and I were doing some wedding prep stuff, so I had to do that. And then I flew from there. Parents drove out, though. It was like a 23-hour drive. No, thank you.
It's
too much for
to know
me.
someone in Jackson, doesn't it? It pays to know someone.
Boy, it does. I couldn't believe it. It's like peanut butter is like $13 out there. Everything is so expensive. Not to sound like an old head here, but man, it is crazy out that way.
You are not lying, Joe Tillery. You are not lying. It is an expensive place. So I'm glad you got to have some fun out there and you know someone to help navigate the scene out there in Jackson Hole. Joe Tillery, our friend from Heartland College Sports. Joe, let's dive right in. Ohio State wins the national championship. What were your just overlining thoughts of the national championship game?
Man, it was a good game. I mean, obviously, it looked like it was Ohio State early, and it ended up staying Ohio State late. But, you know, for the first drive, I think there was a lot of uneasy fans in Ohio for that first Notre Dame drive where they looked like they were getting beat on the line of scrimmage. They were moving the football fine. And then after the unscripted plays came off the board, it was a whole different team. Notre Dame's a team where, like, towards the end of the stretch, they all season long, except for obviously the Northern Illinois game, classic. But you get to the point where that team continues to like poke and prod and find their way into football games that even if they're down 21, 24, whatever the amount of points is, like guys like Riley Leonard, guys on that team don't quit. They don't have that sense of like, this game's probably getting away from us. They're still fighting. That being said, I think it said a lot about parity in college football. And I know that sounds ironic considering the team with one of the most expensive rosters in college football won it all. But like, I'm sure we'll talk more in depth about the playoff. But in theory, it was like, you watch two teams that competed that I don't know if you asked anybody would have said Notre Dame will be a playoff lock. Like, I don't know if, I mean, there's people talking about it, but in the end, you saw some really good matchups in the college football playoff. You saw some ones that were not great, but the national championship game, I think it went well. As a K-State guy, really, really happy for Will Howard too.
You know, Max brought up a good point last segment talking about the seating, and I would agree with him that probably needs to be reworked because if you change the seating, how different do you think this CFP looked when it all came down to the final two teams?
Boy, I think it'd look a lot different. I think there's no argument that, I mean, there's arguments, but the main thing that I would think is that reseeding needs to be done. Like, does anyone sit here and say Boise State should have been the 3 seed in the end? I mean, Arizona State put up a heck of a fight. I think they changed a lot of narratives about the Big 12 Conference in their own right. They're a botched targeting call away from upsetting Texas going to play Ohio State in that semifinal game. But in terms of reseeding, it needs to happen because you think of a team like Oregon, who was the nation's #1 team. Their path to the national championship had to go through Ohio State versus like, you know, other teams got to play a Penn State. Other teams got to play a Boise State. Like there's teams like that where it's just like that should not be a reward for being the #1 team in the country. So I understand that definitely needs to be reworked. I think there's some questions about the auto bids too. I think it's cool understanding that each power conference has an opportunity to get to the playoff, but realistically, like, I find it hard to believe that unless your conference champion is 9-3, you're likely going to make the playoff regardless.
Joe Tillery is our guest from Heartland College Sports. You mentioned Will Howard and him being able to win a national championship. I mean, I know you're happy for him. I'm guessing most K-State fans are happy for him. I go back and I think about the growth of Will Howard, Joe. Remember his first start at Oklahoma State? Yeah, the eye roll. Thank you. I mean, think about the growth that he has to be in the national championship and complete 13 straight passes to get things going. Now, I will give, he is playing with, this is no offense, Kansas State, better talent, higher end talent at Ohio State, and they could help make you look better. But the growth from him to where he started to him being a national champion is a pretty unique and big story.
Yeah, it's incredible. I was actually in the booth for the first game that Skylar Thompson went down with a kind of got cheap shotted by Texas Tech. True freshman Will Howard comes off the bench, looks like he's about 180 pounds, skinny thing, runs the football, turns it over 3 times. Not a great football game, did not look great. That whole freshman season, like playing as a true freshman, it was an up and down Will Howard era. Will Howard wearing number 15 was kind of a tough time for K-State fans, but like the development he showed is so impressive. And I think a lot of K-State fans, like, it's kind of a juxtaposition where like some people want to make it seem like, okay, K-State fans aren't happy. They should have kept Will. The reality of the situation was like Will Howard had to leave because you weren't going to keep Avery otherwise. I think that multiple people across the board say this is the right path forward and are also excited for Will. That being said, like you mentioned it, some people get a little bit, frustrated when you think about the idea of like Ohio State and Kansas State are 2 different programs. They're on 2 different playing fields. That being said, Ohio State's genuinely on its own playing field with like 3 or 4 teams in the country. Will Howard in that 2022 season looked really, really good at Kansas State because he had playmakers around him. He had Deuce Vaughn in the backfield, which changes coverages. As good as DJ Giddens was, Deuce Vaughn changes defensive schemes, defensive alignments, responsibilities. Then you have multiple 700-yard receiver type dudes in Malik Knowles. You got Kurt Warner's son, Cade Warner, so I was blanking there for a minute, but you had skill positions around you, an all-American tight end type dude and Ben Sinnott. Like, it goes to show, like, if you build the right pieces around Will Howard, he can be an incredible quarterback. I do hope that, because his NFL stock will be kind of hit or miss. I know that he won the national championship game. We'll see what happened there. I find it hard to see him go before the 3rd, to be perfectly honest with you. I think he could jump in earlier if somebody's really needy, but hopefully that works out to a situation where he can get drafted to a team that's already got a lot of pieces and then develop around him, if that's going to be the future for Will Howard.
I want to go back to the national championship game and these 2 coaches, because these are 2, now of the bigger coaching names in college football. What are your thoughts on Ryan Day? Obviously, what he's been through the season with all the narratives around him, and then Marcus Freeman is this up and coming, what I think could be a potentially NFL coach. Just tell me what you think about both of these guys.
Max, I think you're spot on there. I'll start with Marcus Freeman. I think you said it. Like, I know there was some rumblings of the Bears being interested interviewing Marcus Freeman. Obviously, end up getting with a guy with Ben Johnson from the Lions, but like, he's a guy that I feel like is at the forefront of innovation in college football. Some of these dudes that are legendary college football coaches are slowly starting to get left with the time just because of the adaptation of NIL, a couple different things. Marcus Freeman feels like the ultimate leader, like a dude you want to go play for. Like, he's in the gym working out with his dudes. He's lifting himself. He's doing all these different things to be connected with his guys and still like participate in that team culture, which obviously Notre Dame didn't quite have that under Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly kind of not running things into the ground, but just didn't quite crack it up. Said the words in his own right, hey, you can't win a national championship here. Marcus Freeman 2 years later is in the national championship. So I definitely think Marcus Freeman has a huge future ahead of him, whether that be in Notre Dame or in the NFL. In terms of Ryan Day, man, what a wild situation. Like, I get that you win 10-plus games every single season, but man, if you can't beat your in-state rival, Ohio State fans are having that conversation of, well, let's get this guy out of town. You get to a point where it's like, all right, if we see a Michigan loss next season, 1, they're cursed. 2, I don't know what you're talking about. Like you can't have the negative conversation to say, well, Ryan Day can't get over the hump. He's going to the college football playoff. Obviously in the past he hadn't just because there's a 4 selection, but like Ohio State most years, depending on what they do at quarterback next year, is going to be a top 5 team in the national championship odds. That being said, I'm interested to see how we develop off this because Ohio State's always recruited with momentum. They've always had the big shiny stars, the bright lights. How do they go from here? Who do you add in the portal? Who do you get for your future? What does it look like? Because they've got some young guy, 5-star talent guys at quarterback, but you're going to need a veteran, experienced type dude, and Ryan Day has the keys to the Ferrari right now.
That's what I was going to ask you. I was going to say, what is their next move you think at quarterback? Do they look in the transfer portal? Do they look to some of their younger guys?
I think they're going to have to go portaling. I think that they have some younger guys that I feel good about, but not anybody that'd sit here and say, okay, this dude's ready to win now. Could you do an Avery Johnson type thing with Kansas State? Obviously, vastly different situation, but like they have talented guys that are top 100 quarterback prospects, top 200 quarterback prospects. That being said, a team like Ohio State, with all the money invested in them, all the backing for the program, coming off a national championship, I find it very, very hard to believe that they won't have a top 5 portal commit when the spring window's over. Like, I feel like they're going to have to add somebody. I mean, I think that there's guys like Colorado. I thought they could have rolled with Julian Lewis, maybe, excuse me, the freshman kid. And instead they go out and get Caden Salter, who's also a stud quarterback from Liberty in the transfer portal. Like, I feel like situations like that are bound to happen where, hey, 4 or 5 games in, if your portal quarterback doesn't hit like they should, then go ahead and roll the dice on those young kids. But like Will Howard coming out of the transfer portal, solid quarterback, top 10 quarterback in the portal, but definitely wasn't at the same level that I think a lot of people looked at Will Howard and said what he could be this season. They can find success. They have the right talent evaluators. They can do that. But I think they hit the portal pretty hard.
Joe Tillery, once again, is our guest here on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream, talking national championship. And if I was Ryan Day, I'd say, thanks, I'm out of here. We're going to the pros. I would walk out. I would just say, you can kiss my you-know-what on the way out the door. Because of all this, I say, just watching him in that post game after the win, I mean, the weight that was lifted off of him was immense. And I just think it would be hilarious to get Ohio State fans have been on him because he's winning 10, 11 games every year, but they're not winning national championships or Big Ten titles, or they lose to Michigan. And then I would just love to see, okay, bye-bye. I'm going to the pros. See ya.
Hey, that's the way to do it, man. I mean, go out on top. I could see him very easily. Could he be a head coach in the NFL right now? I'm sure somebody would take a flyer on him, but I feel like he'd have a lot more success working through the ranks as like a defensive coordinator than getting to that spot. But boy, I think he's got the perfect setup right now. That Chip Kelly offense, guy that wasn't a great head coach in the NFL, but boy, you can call an offense. He's got a good squad there up in Northwest Ohio, but I am interested to see what happens. But I think that's not a bad play. Just say, hey, I did my thing. Good luck to you guys. See who's doing it next.
Just to put a bow on this coaching conversation, who would you rather have? Let's say you're the Raiders owner, general manager, and you are down to 2, Ryan Day and Marcus Freeman. Who would you bring in?
I'd probably bring in Marcus Freeman, to be perfectly honest with you. I think that professional sports is a different beast for sure. I think Ryan Day can relate, but I do think he has more success at the college level in terms of like working with dudes, doing it the right way. I worry about his ability to jump up in terms of relating to professionals. I feel like Marcus Freeman, the dude, not saying that neither are humble dudes or neither, have egos or whatever, but I feel like Marcus Freeman would adapt more to, hey, what is around me? What's the environment? How do we go from here? And it might take him a 4-12 season off the rip. It might take him a 5-7 season his second year, but I feel like for long-term sustainability, Marcus Freeman would have a better shot coaching the NFL ranks than Ryan Day.
Agree.
Joe, I want to transition over to college basketball for a little bit here, if you have some time. I wanted to get your thoughts just on the Big 12 conference as a whole, as we sit here, just a couple of weeks into the new year. What are your thoughts on just kind of the Big 12 conference of basketball?
Well, I'm impressed about Kansas State, to tell you the truth. But outside of them, it's been exciting. It's Big 12 basketball, man. There's something great about watching any matchup. I mean, you see UCF give the business to Houston for 40 minutes, lose on a game winner by Houston. That's heartbreaking, but like those are the games you see. I think the best story in the Big 12 conference this season, though, has been West Virginia. Hire a first-year head coach in Darian DeVries. Lose your best player, your second best player. Obviously, Javon Small doing incredible things this year, but there's been some really great things. They're top 25 for the first time this season. Upset Kansas, upset Iowa State recently. Teams that I think will do great in March, but like there's still going to be that upper echelon of teams of how do you get past Houston? How do you get past Iowa State? How do you get past Kansas at Allen Fieldhouse? Like there's a little bit of everything there, but it's been an exciting thing. I think the transfer portal has definitely made it interesting where like guys like TJ Otzelberger at Ames, like for a while, there was obviously the Farmageddon rivalry for K-State, Iowa State. We can't beat those dudes. Like we just can't. But that being said, you look at it, TJ Otzelberger has found a way to build his roster in a unique way through the transfer portal. He's not adding guys from Illinois. He's not adding guys from Michigan. He's not adding guys from this school that are Power 4 programs. He's going out finding Curtis Jones at Buffalo. Guy's averaging 18 points a game right now. Has scored 20 in 3 of his last 4, 7 times this season. The kid's an elite scorer in college basketball. Then you go out and find transfers like Deshaun Jackson, Joshua Jefferson, guys from Charlotte, guys from, different programs around the country that are less known, Keyshawn Gilbert from UNLV, obviously a big-time portal player, but he's found a way to win and get guys to Ames without having this massive NIL budget. And that's the thing that's so exciting is guys adapting to the times in their own way, still finding a way to compete.
Where does you're a K-State fan, obviously, like you mentioned, but where does K-State go from here? Because you've seen the struggles of, they kind of bought into this year with a lot of transfer portals, and you're even seeing similar struggles with KU to an extent, not as much as K-State, but where do they go from here?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think a lot of K-State fans are kind of at the point, like you hear people saying fire Tang. I don't think we're at that point. It's an $18 million buyout. I don't have $18 million lying around. I'm not going to be the one to do that. That being said, I think the reality situation comes down to Kansas State had a surplus of NIL money this offseason. That's not the norm. We all know that. They were, from a lot of different people. Jeff Goodman reported they're top 5, top 3 in NIL this year. I think the compelling nature of saying, hey, say you have $10 million. I don't know the number figure, but say you have $10 million. We're going to buy 5 starters that are going to be NBA players. We're going to be great. We're going to do this and this. You understand letting a guy like Cam Carter walk. You understand letting a guy like Arthur Kluma walk who have their issues. They're good players, but have their issues. Because in your mind, you're going to go out and pay for guys that have better or at least on average impact. We're going to go find some people like that. It's safe to say that didn't work. And I think looking back, like Coleman Hawkins is a good player. He catches a lot of flack because the money he's making. It's all been reported. But there's a situation where you need to go back to the drawing board. You need to develop your team through genuine development. You have to retain guys. I know that guys like David Castillo, the true freshman kid, are going to take some time getting there. But you need to prioritize guys inside your building, then add a couple of supplemental pieces from the portal. Roster scholarship going up to 15 next year instead of 13. It'll allow you to keep some of those young guys around. But I think K-State understands now.
Can you, Joe? Can you, though? Can you keep them around? That's the problem with development. If they don't get minutes, they're leaving. They're going somewhere to go get minutes.
That's the thing. So where would we turn this season? You got to prioritize the young guys. And the hard part is that sometimes that comes at the expense of these senior guys like Coleman Hawkins, like David Gasson, who have worked their tail off. How do you cut into their minutes without saying, okay, thank you for all you did. We have to go this way. It's so tough to balance that stuff lately. But I think there's a way to do it with the front court or the back court of Kansas State. I think the front court, I don't have much hope for K-State retaining either Ugonna Onyenso or Byfall. That being said, could they surprise me? College athletics changes so much that a guy can be pissed off at your staff all year, say, I'm not playing in more than 3 games. I hate it here, whatever. You get $100,000 more. All right, I'm bought in. Let's get this thing going. That's the way it goes for whatever reason. But you got to let guys play. And I don't think you need to give them more than, you don't need to go 35 minutes a game for guys, true freshman guys to get out there. But if you give a kid a reliable 20 minutes a game, that's a true freshman kid getting his first taste of Big 12 basketball, you don't want to overwhelm him. You don't want to overwork him. But even in that Kansas game, you saw David Castillo hit back-to-back threes, be a defensive pest, look good as a true freshman kid that can develop in the future. But it does take the right people. It does. It can't just be any true freshman that's hey, working my tail off. K-State had a kid last year, Data Ames, that left for Virginia, kind of got screwed there by head coach retiring, Tony Bennett. Doesn't look great right now, but retaining your guys is a tough balance to walk, but you have to figure out if you're going to succeed. That's the way that Houston goes. They had one guy leave this year. Obviously, that was an All-American, Big 12 Player of the Year type player in Jabal Shed, but they supplement pieces from internally and then add 1 or 2 guys from the portal, add 3 or 4 guys from the portal if need be. Kansas State has to get to a point where they can reliably find guys and develop guys, keep them home, whether that be from NIL money, development, whatever the case is. But it is a lot tougher to do when you're 7 and 10.
That's the dream for every program, Joe. That's the dream for every program, is to do it that way. 30 seconds. You got the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl?
Yes, I do. Absolutely. Okay. Go
All
Chiefs,
right.
baby. I got a Chiefs Commanders Super Bowl this year, actually.
That'd be
Go
crazy.
with the double upset.
That would be nuts if that was the case. There's other people that we talked on the show that also believe in the Chiefs Commanders Super Bowl as well.
I will also say it's going to be a hard thing to contain Jaden Daniels. Say that right
will
now.
be very, very true. Joe, it's always great to have you on, my friend. Stay warm. We'll catch up with you down the road. All right, be well.
Sounds good, boys. Thanks for having me.
Once again, great stuff from Joe Tillery there. We'll take a break, come back, and wrap things up on next here on the Morning Blitz.
At NextTech Wireless, we're committed to delivering more than just quality wireless service. We're here to provide you with exceptional customer support every step of the way. Experience our service risk-free for 30 days. Plus, for a limited time, get an iPhone 16 Pro Max on us when you buy one with our best plan and handset protection. NextTech Wireless, connecting Kansans.
The
Farmers State Bank of Oakley has been financing agriculture since the day we opened our doors. Hello, this is Corbin, and we are proud to be your locally owned partner in ag. We invite you to come and visit with us when you need to purchase new or used farm equipment, or need any type of agriculture or business loan. We have the knowledge, experience, and financial resources to keep you growing. The Farmers State Bank of Oakley, a tradition of community and agriculture for over 115 years. Member FDIC.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery, ingestion, and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
The region's only local sports talk.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
The Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Wrapping up a Tuesday show. Thanks again to Joe Tiller for joining us. He was fantastic, as he usually is. Thoughts and stuff coming in off of Facebook this morning. Brian chiming in. Seating and auto bids is already near perfect for balancing talent around the country for any major conference team that has a title chance. I believe he was talking about the college football playoff and the seating and auto bids. We'll see. There will be changes, I have no doubt, on what it will be and how soon it will be. I don't know, but I said it last time. I know Max said it earlier today. I would agree. You can't conclude a study off one sample. You got to have more. Just because we do this again next year and we do it the same way, and then maybe it's the 4 teams that have the bye that gets in, and then what do you do? I mean,
people are hilarious because after 2 games, the first 2 games of the first round, it's like, oh, this is terrible. We're not in triple overtime. What are we doing? Why is Clemson not in a triple overtime with Texas? So I don't know. It's one. Not every playoff. Not every baseball playoff, not every NFL playoff, not every NBA playoff is like this amazing perfection. Like it just, who knows? Maybe down the line, this is the one that stands out.
I mean, the NCAA tournament has some upsets, but there are some blowouts as well.
But it's also people are realize that it's a lot harder to upset in college football than it is in college basketball.
Some high school basketball before we get out of here. Last night, Hoxie boys beat Ellis 54-52. Oakley lost to Plainville 78-49 in the first round of the Mid-Continent League tournament. So that means you've got on Thursday, Oakley taking on Ellis in the consolation semifinals, and then you'll have Hoxie and Plainville meet in the championship semifinals on Thursday as well in the Mid-Continent League tournament. Tonight, the girls' tournament gets underway. You've got Hoxie, which is the number 1 seed in the tournament, hosting Russell, and the 3 seed is Oakley. They'll be hosting Hayes TMP. Those are both home games for Oakley and for Hoxie tonight. Today is also the first round of the Northwest Kansas League tournament. That'll be up in Oberlin at Decatur Community High School. First round matchups on the girls' side. You have Wallace County, St. Francis, Decatur County, Greeley County, Rollins County, Ness City, and Quinter Dighton. Boys games, Greeley County, St. Francis in the 1-8. Decatur Community, Wallace County, Dighton, Rollins County, Quinter, Ness City, the first round matchup there. And then a few other games that are non-tournament games tonight. You've got Shiloh hosting High Plains, Tri-Plains Brewster hosts Heartland Christian, Weskin gets Bethune. No Colby, no Goodland tonight as they get prepared for the Orange and Black Classic tipping off on Thursday in 3 consecutive games of that. Also tonight, Colorado men's basketball still in search. They sit at the very bottom of the Big 12 standings. They're still in search of that first Big 12 conference win. They are 9-8 overall, 0-6. Tip is at 9:05 Mountain. You can watch the game on ESPNU. So K-State fans, don't feel as bad. Colorado is worse at this point in time, which it's a bit surprising because Tad Boyle is a fantastic coach. So I'm kind of surprised they've not been able to get a win, but they were kind of starting over after losing a lot of an older team. I think he's kind of taken the approach of we're going to play younger guys and we'll build for the years to come. There's not many places that want to do that anymore.
They probably are having a better year when it's all said and done than K-State.
But yeah. So anyway, we with that, we have to get on to the walk-off. We're up against the clock.
And back lifts his ball deep to right. How about a walk-off grade?
First play of overtime. Mahomes swings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
Well, starting in the NFL, Ben Johnson has been hired as the new head coach of the Chicago Bears. Was he the number one sought-after coach this cycle?
I would think so. I mean, everything he's done in Detroit, just the way that offense runs and the creativity, you would think that he was the number one option. I feel like he's been the number one option since week 1 of the NFL season. And
he was week 1 pretty much since the end of last year.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. But he said there was a quote that said it was a gut feeling for him to go to Chicago, which is interesting.
Sure he doesn't have food poisoning or something?
Right.
Is that the gut
Right.
feeling?
But they have talent. They've got talent.
Boy,
in
they do.
Chi-town.
That is the most underperforming Chicago team. If there is a team that's got a lot of talent, it's them. And the Cowboys have got talent too. I think a more equal base of talent, honestly, in Chicago.
It's crazy to think about, but
Jets, by the way, looking like they're going to go with Aaron Glenn. That would be the Lions' defensive coordinator. What are your thoughts on that?
That's a mistake.
Huh?
You wait for Spags. They should wait for Spags. The Jets need to wait for Spags. Why on earth would you hire any defensive coordinator besides Spags if he's listening? Maybe he thinks that maybe he's not interested and there's something I don't know, but if he's there, that's my number one coach.
Well, we'll have to see. We're out of here. By the way, are you watching the golf league tonight?
I'm going to check it out.
You don't have a game, so I'm going to have to
check it
watch
out because I haven't. Right, we haven't been able to watch it.
Yeah, I'm going to watch. I'm going to have to watch the golf tonight.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Put that in your calendar. Anyway.
It's in there now.
All right. For Max, I'm Ross. Thanks again to Joe Tilley. We'll see you back here again tomorrow in 23 hours for a Wednesday edition of the Morning Blitz. Talk to you then.